Back here on Sportsline, Tennessee back atop the college basketball polls this week. 4th straight week at number 1. The Vols have won 18 in a row, a school record. But you can't pat yourself on the back because this is a big, big week. South Carolina coming into town on Wednesday night, but then the game everybody is talking about and getting prepared for. Number 1 Tennessee at 5th-ranked Kentucky, Saturday night, 7 o'clock. In a sold-out and frenzied Rupp Arena up there in Lexington. Can't look past South Carolina. Every game in the SEC is difficult, but that is the game everybody has circled on the calendar. And look, it's hard if you're Tennessee right now because you are unbeaten in the SEC, but you are 1 game up on Kentucky and 1 game up on LSU at this point. You cannot afford to let your foot off the pedal because there is so much basketball left to be played, and you still have to battle those teams. You still have to go through them before the season is all said and done. So, Tennessee with a big week ahead. Rick Barnes today at the podium talking about the task of not looking ahead and continuing to get better and better each day with this Tennessee ball club.
All right, Rick, you had guys obviously had a physical matchup with South Carolina.
I can't hear. Is that working? I can't hear what you said. What did you say about?
You guys had a physical matchup with South Carolina in Columbia. What are you expecting from them this time around?
Obviously, I think anytime you're going up against South Carolina, I think you know they're going to play extremely hard and physical game, and I think everybody knows that, and we fully expect it, and they compete as hard as anybody that you're going to play against, and that's what we expect.
Coach, I know you know this, but there's already tons of talk about Kentucky. Is there any worry on your part about your team being focused or looking ahead on Wednesday night?
You know, I would be shocked because I think our guys have so much respect for South Carolina, and they understand where they are right now, and I think they have a great respect for our league and know that, I thought we went out and competed hard against Florida, and I expect them to understand that today's preparation is really, really important tomorrow and get ready for that game, and that's what we've always tried to do, and so that's what I expect from them.
Rick, the first time you played Chris Silva, you had a big game. Was it more about what he did, or do you feel like you can do a better job defensively? Well,
I think what he did, he had a lot to do with it. I would tell you this, if you talk to our players, they have as much respect for him and how hard he plays as anybody we compete against, because he is going to play extremely hard, but yeah, what he did it, and you know, we have tried to guard him the best we can, and we'll continue to try to do that, but he's a terrific player, and it's hard to keep a guy like that from, you know, not being effective, but he was terrific, and he made it happen himself.
I think the top 4 teams in the league are all playing one another this week. Kentucky, LSU, you're playing South Carolina, then you're playing Kentucky. Just how big can this week be in sorting things out? And have you gotten to the point in the season where you start paying attention to how the other teams around you are doing in the standings?
You know, I think in terms of sorting it out, it'll sort itself out in another 8 games, and that's how I feel about it. I just think you've got to be focused on what we're doing right now, and I don't know the other teams who are playing in the league, but I just think that you've got to be so locked in on your next opponent that's what you got to stay focused on, because if you start trying to play this, that, or what if game, it just never plays out like that. So I think it's important that from our standpoint that we know that we're on the backside of the conference, and the next couple of weeks are important to all of us. I mean, that regardless of where we are in the league, and there's so many games, I mean, I think you look at how Arkansas went on a 4-game winning streak, and that can happen that way, and it can happen the other way. So that's why I don't even think you look at it like that. I think you just look at, hey, this is what we've got, and if we get sidetracked from that, you know, things can snowball for you if you don't stay focused on exactly what you need to do, and that's to focus on your next opponent.
Rick, how do you balance what you've accomplished so far in terms of the win streak and the #1 ranking with what lies ahead as far as the challenges in games?
Well, really kind of what I just said. I mean, what we've done behind us, I mean, we've got a lot that we can say that we're proud of right now where we are, but that's over and done with. And again, I know I sound like a broken record here, but it's about the next game. It's about today's practice, and honestly, that's how you know, when the game's over with, we told our guys we wanted to compete and enjoy that, but yet when it's time to come back and get locked in on our next opponent, that's what we have to do. And because it's fleeting, and if you start trying to bask in what you've done up to this point, you lose sight of what you need to keep doing to get better and to move forward. And that's all we have focused on, is can we find a way to get better today.
Rick, do you have any update on Yves Pons? Has anything changed there with his situation?
Yeah, I talked to Chad earlier, and they did a little they did a little bit with him yesterday, just dribbling and stuff like that. Still has a little bit of swelling. They're waiting on him. He'll have to wear a mask, and they're hoping they'll get that here by tomorrow, and then we'll see how that goes. He'll do more today. There's no doubt he won't do any contact work with us, but he'll do more today, and so that's where it is right now.
David? Rick, when you talk about trying to tell guys it's about the next practice and to sort of look
I
at
can't hear that. If you turn that up, I can't hear it.
I can just talk loud.
Yeah, I can't hear it.
When you talk about trying to get guys to focus on the next practice, how do you drill that into 18, 19, 20-year-olds? How do you kind of help them understand that?
Well, our coaching staff, and again the culture that we have, where it's an everyday commitment, and the fact that we really, I say it to you guys, and you guys probably get tired of me saying it, but we don't have any magic dust. We don't have any magic dust. It's just, can we get our minds trained to go out every day and know that what we did yesterday, if it looks big to you today, we haven't done much, and we've got to keep trying to strive to be the best team that we can be, and really believe that our basketball's ahead of us. If we will continue with the attitude that we've got to get better, simply get better. Every player's got to get better. We can clean things up. You look at we've got to rebound the ball better. Some of the turnovers we had the other day were really, for an older group of guys, were really kind of silly, just careless turnovers. So you can always find things that you have to do to improve on, and then the effort. We don't ever take that for granted, and that's just a matter of coming in every day and saying, hey, I've got to find a way to improve, and that's really what we've tried to do, and we've got to stay with that.
Rick, I know you've been a little bit concerned about your offensive rebounding the last two games. Is that lack of blocking out? Is it lack of effort on the players' part, or just bad bounces? Why do you think other teams have had so many offensive rebounds?
I think a little bit of all that, Jimmy. I think that you go back over two games, we allowed some guys to run by us where we didn't put a body on them. Some of them are tough bounces. Some of them are when the ball's getting battered around with 3 or 4 guys going to get it, and depending on who's got the inside position where he can either catch it or tip it out, and so it's a little bit of all of it, and concentration would go in there too. But some of them we can fix. There's no doubt about it, and some of them we have to fix, because we've given up a number of offensive rebounds that have turned into 3-point shots, which is a great time to get them. They're like daggers. When you have a great defensive stop and they come up with a rebound off the miss and kick out while you're still trying to scramble to get back or get the ball, and they hit those threes. Those are tough ones, and but those things are, again, that's got to be something. Again, that's an area where we know we can get better, and we need to get better.
Coach, Jordan Bone rolled his ankle on Saturday. I know he came back and played in the second half, but is he any swelling, discomfort?
Yeah, he's fine. Chad, when he called me, he told me he was fine. He came in yesterday and worked with Chad, and he thinks he'll be fine, or he says he's fine.
Coach, this is the third rematch in a row you all are having to face. How difficult can that be in conference play, especially when you're going up against a coach like Frank Martin?
Well, just like we said, I thought you go back to our game with Missouri, our game with Florida. I thought their coaching staffs, again, made some adjustments, and there's no doubt that Coach Martin's going to do the same thing. And the second time around, you're a little bit more familiar with what you're seeing, because it's the second time. And I fully expect them to do the same thing. But one thing about his teams, as Missouri and Florida, they're going to play hard. They're going to compete. We're all playing for something. And there's a lot of basketball left to play in the regular season before we even all head to Nashville. And so there's a lot of games, and I've got a lot of respect for not only the coaches, but the players in this league. This league is really competitive. We got really good players in this league that want to win, and there's not a team in our league that still doesn't have a chance to do something special with their season, because you've always got a conference tournament, regardless of what happens in the regular season. But again, you just got to have, and we do have a great respect for who we're getting ready to play. And obviously, I mean, I can sit here and speak volumes about Frank and his team and the things that he stands for and the way he does things. And again, I know our team feels the same way.
Rick, I think it may have been around this time last year where, Grant's production was still pretty good, but it started to dip a little bit, and you challenged him to kind of get in better shape like Schofield's been in to let him kind of finish the season strong. Do you think Grant's done that work in the past year? Do you expect him to finish stronger this season?
Yeah, I think so. But, he was dealing with some things with his body that, we don't talk about last year. But, he'll do it. And, you go back to him, and a year ago this time was when Admiral really got it going.